Hello everyone, welcome to Software Testing Expert Talk series. Today we have a guest who is a software test consultant dealing especially in performance engineering domain, having close to 15 years of experience in the IT industry. He carries proficient knowledge in various performance testing tools named as LoadRunner, JMeter, NeoLoad, Locust, Dynatrace with himself. On the other hand, he is the creator of Perf Tractor, a tool which provides off-premise and cloud performance testing tools pricing and helps in planning your performance testing tool budget for your organization. Plus, he is also an instructor on Udemy as well. This is not enough. As part of his introduction, he also owns a blog named as QAinsights.com, which is dedicated towards performance testing tools in the market. I think I have given enough info for our guest today. His name is Naveen Kumar Namachivayam. Hi Naveen, welcome to our show.
Hi Ajay, thanks for having me here. How are you?
I'm doing good. Today Naveen will take us through Locust, which is an open source performance testing tool trending these days. Naveen will give us insights about the tool in today's session. Agenda for our today's STET is what is Locust, starting your first load test, results analysis, data parameterization, correlation, distributed load testing. Over to you, Naveen.
Yeah, thanks Ajay. So let me share my screen here so that we can get started with Locust.
Please go ahead.
Okay, I hope my screen is visible.
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for the introduction, Ajay. So as Ajay mentioned, I've been working into performance testing and engineering from past 13 plus years almost. And I've been blogging about from past 8 years on testing and performance testing at QAinsights.com. So today I will go through the core concepts of Locust so that you can get started with your load testing using the open source tool.
Okay.
So first, since it is a 1 hour, about 45 minutes to 1 hour, I will not be able to cover every aspect of Locust, but I'm going to touch base the core aspects and core features of Locust. And then I don't want to bore you by writing the snippet in the screen. So I have already created sample snippets. So we will go through those code snippets and then we will execute a simple load test. And we will see how we can analyze the results.
Okay.
So it will be like a hands-on, and at the end I will take some questions.
Okay, fine.
Sure. Most of the performance engineers, they will get start their career in either in LoadRunner or JMeter.
Right.
So even myself as well, in around 2009, I get started with LoadRunner. So that was my first project. So suddenly my manager called me when I was working with Infosys in Mysore. And one day he told we have to do performance testing. So I was into automation. And before automation, I was into manual testing. So I don't know anything about performance. And I was skeptical basically before I get started because performance is kind of a very specialized testing arena in software testing field. Manual testing, you can learn the concepts, and now even automation, you can learn quickly. But performance needs a different set of perspective whenever you approach that kind of testing. Security and performance, kind of totally a different game compared to automation and manual testing.
Right.
So it took me a while to learn at least the basics about performance. So I invested myself in learning a lot of stuff. So I am a self-taught learner because at that time, 10 years ago, there was no resources like now before. There was no Udemy or YouTube courses to get started. There was no community. So people, it's very closed community with respect to LoadRunner or JMeter. So everything is like a self-experiment. So usually I post a lot of questions in community and people ask why you're asking these basic questions. So stuffs like that. But I didn't take those comments as a negative way, but in a positive way, I started investing myself in learning concepts, not just the tools, just the concepts, which will help me to build the knowledge around performance testing and engineering.
Okay.
So if you are coming from automation or manual testing into performance, don't learn the tool. I will say learn the concept. So tool you can learn at any point of time. Even after 10 years also you can learn a new tool, because every day something is coming up in the open source and the commercial version. So
Right.
It is kind of a very easy 1 month, 2 months. If you put effort, you will be good. But the concept, it will be like a lifelong learning. So still I'm learning the concepts about the networking or some basic about networking, about DNS, etc. So today I will always tell my whoever pings me in LinkedIn or people who contacts me, I always tell them to learn at least 2 to 3 tools when it comes to performance testing. So don't stop with LoadRunner or don't stop with JMeter. Start learning some other tool like Gatling or Locust or 𝐀𝐠𝐞𝐧𝐝, right? So if you learn more language, you will get, your perspective will be broadened. So it is like learning a new language, Hindi or English or Tamil. So if you learn new languages, you will get new perspective. Similarly, if you want to learn more thing about performance, you have to learn multiple tools and languages. So with that, I'm going to start our journey towards Locust. So Locust, it's one of the Python-based performance testing tool in the market. So very few tools available based on the Python language. So LoadRunner, if you take, it's a C-based. JMeter is a Java-based. Gatling is a Scala-based, and 𝐀𝐠𝐞𝐧𝐝 is JavaScript. Backend is Go. But Python language oriented tools is kind of very less. So Locust is one of the powerful language based on Python, which will help you to get started with performance in a very short term and with low infrastructure. So why I'm saying this low infrastructure means with a basic machine, you'll be able to spin up a lot more load compared to other tools. So that is the power of Locust. So this term Locust has come from the locusta, a Latin word, which means grasshopper. So a grasshopper is the core concept of nature. So they have derived the terms from the nature, and then they implemented those terminologies into this particular tool. So that is why the name as Locust has come. And as I mentioned, it is open source, it's free, and it's a big community out there. Mostly developers mindset, people who are into development, they use this tool every day with their pipeline. And it's one of the tool available based on the Python. So the power of Locust is basically you can do whatever you want. So there is no structured way. Okay, this is what it's supposed to work. There is no such thing. So whatever you want to implement, definitely you can implement in Python. If it is if you are doing in Python, definitely it will you can do it in Locust. So that is the core the power of Locust tool.
That's great.
So as I mentioned in my last slide, so don't worry, I have only very few slides. The rest everything is a demo. I'm not a PowerPoint guy, so I want to explain things by showing stuffs. Great. So as I said, right, in the last slide, the terminologies as derived from the nature. So there are a couple of terminologies in Locust. You will see it in the documentation or in the community. One is a swarm, and another one is a spawn. A swarm means it's you would have seen I mean in the city or in the village, right? Nowadays city is not possible because we don't have any creatures in city. But in village side, if you see a lot of bees or grasshoppers, they will fly together. So they create they collect. I mean they just move along with their community. So that is the swarm. So it's like a group. They travel in the same direction. So this terminology we will be using in Locust. Basically, we will be swarming the application under test. So whatever the application you are going to test, so we will inject the load by swarming into that, and then we will learn the behavior of the application. So that is one term we use it frequently. And another one is spawn. So this spawn means basically it is kind of spinning up. So in JMeter we will say threads. In LoadRunner, we say virtual user. So similarly, here we call it as spawning the users. So if the rate is very high, then you will be able to inject more load. So these two terms we'll be using very frequently. So apart from that, there's another term called hatching. So hatching means, hatching the egg, right? So it's kind of production. So these couple of terms, it's kind of frequently used words in Locust world. Okay. So compared to other tools, for example, if you want to start with JMeter, the basic prerequisite is Java. And if you want to work with a LoadRunner, again, we have to install the prerequisites, C++ suitable components. But for Locust, you have to just install Python, and you have to install the Locust package. So only these two things are the very prerequisites. Apart from this, you don't need any other packages to get started. So you can install Locust in any operating system. So basically, wherever Python is running, you can install Locust. So that is the another important feature of Locust. If you take commercial tools, like, I don't want to name the tool, but some of the tools will work only in Windows platform, and only very few tools, so it's a cross-platform. So, but Python, again, it's a cross-platform, and Python is free, and Locust also it's free. And to get started, it's very simple. You have to just initiate this command, pip install Locust. So pip is the package manager. So just install, send this command, and it will get installed. So it's very quick. Within 10 seconds, you will be good to start with the Locust. So that is the one of the best feature of Locust.
Great.
Okay, so when it comes to features, there are a lot of features available in the website, but I just cherry picked these features. So one is it comes with a micro application framework called Flask. So Flask is very lightweight. It's a application server which will be running, which will help you to see the UI of Locust. So it will give you the beautiful interface where you can see your performance of your application. Basically, it will display some graphs and charts, and you can see the statistics in runtime, etc. So it will give you the minimal web UI, but everything is hackable. Basically, if you want to customize those stuffs, of course, it is customizable. And another important feature I like is the distributed load testing. So if you take any other tool, of course, there will be a distributed feature, but if you want to implement that feature, you need to spend some time on that. So basically, you have to understand how it works, and what prerequisites I have to meet, and is there any limitation on the network. So those things, it will just overwhelming for people who are new to performance testing. But Locust, it makes our life very easy. It is very easy to spin up the distributed load testing setup within few commands. So no need to bang your head why it is not working, why I'm not able to inject the load. So no need to worry about that, which we are going to see how you can run the distributed mode. And also it supports multiple protocols. People who do not know about Locust, right, they will think only it supports HTTP, but that is not right. It supports multiple protocols. Basically, it is driven by the community. Assume that I want to test gRPC, or I want to test FTP or SMTP. So for each protocol, definitely there will be a Python library will be available. So you can leverage those existing Python library, and you can integrate with your Locust framework. So by leveraging the code or by reusing the existing package, you can test the multiple protocols. So that is another good aspect of Locust. Okay, so these are the things I have cherry picked, but of course there are a lot of other features are there, which we are going to see in a moment. And another important another freedom, basically, it's not a feature, it's a freedom of choosing your own IDE. So since it's a Python based, so whatever IDE you like, you can just install and then you can get started. So you can go with VS Code, or you can go with Pycharm Community Edition, or Atom, Sublime Text, or any editor, even Notepad. So any editor you can just select, and then you can write your code, and then you can run your test. But another, I would say another con, basically. People always looks for both pros and cons, right? So con is like you don't get the UI. So that is one of the major drawback of Python. But this particular drawback is only for people coming from the LoadRunner or JMeter background. If you are coming from development background or test automation like Selenium, right, then you don't see this as a drawback, because you enjoy writing code. People still, I have seen, right, system administrators, right, they don't use the UI. They always go with the command line, right? So similarly, if you are good in commands, if you are good in command lines, then you don't see this feature as a drawback. Basically, you will see this feature as an advantage of Python. So it depends on who sees the feature, whether it is a pros or it's a con. So it depends on the eye. But I see this as it's very good implementation, basically. Because of the command line nature, right? You can integrate with your pipeline because of the command line nature. So you can integrate with the Jenkins or TeamCity. So whichever tool you are using, just you have to configure the right commands. Then your pipeline will execute accordingly. So no need to start your test manually by going to the UI and clicking on some button. No. So it has both pros and cons. Okay. So enough of the slides. Now we will get started with very simple one. We will get started with simple one, and then we'll go with the distributed load testing. So since it is the event, live event, I'm not going to write anything in the IDE. So instead, I have already pre-written some of the code snippets. So we will go through that. But before that, I want to show you how you can get started with Locust, and by installing Locust and verifying the Locust is present or not.
Okay.
So here I am into this particular folder called Locust demo. And here I have 4 folders. So these are the scripts we are going to see. Hello world, and then we will see some basic HTTP protocol, and then data parameterization and correlation, and then we will see about distributed load testing. So here I'm going to activate the virtual environment. So here in Python, there is a concept called a virtual environment. You can use multiple tools to create a virtual environment. You can use Condo, you can use VNV, etc. So this particular virtual environment will help you to segregate your Python package installation. So it's basically, it is like a namespace, because you don't want to mess up your own global setup. Instead, what you do is you create an environment, and then inside the environment, you will work on your Locust script. So here I already created this VNV. So we have to activate this particular environment by going to this VNV folder. And inside the scripts, there is a script called activate. So if you activate, you will get the environment activated for your Locust. So here you can just install Locust by sending the command pip install Locust. So if you send this command, it will automatically install everything, and you will be good. And let me clear my screen. So to verify your Locust installation, you can do locust space -V. So this will give you the Locust version, which is 1.5.2 at this time of event. This is the latest version. So now our Locust installation is working fine. So there is no issues. And once you verified the installation, what you can do is you can see your help command by sending the -h parameter. So here it will display the subset of commonly used help commands. So here you can see common options, web UI, master options, worker options, and tagging and request and others. So this will help you to create your pipeline, or if you want to automate something, or if you want to load test or smoke test. So everything is like a command line, because there is no user interface. Whenever you want to start your smoke testing or load testing, you have to use the command line. So for the complete demonstration, I am going to use IDE called Pycharm. So this Pycharm is free community edition. But if you want to go with the enterprise features, then you can pay for the enterprise edition, and then you can make use of it. But for learning purpose or to practice, you will be good with the community edition. So here on the left side, I have 4 folders. So inside each folder, I have multiple scripts, and this is our virtual environment. So very first thing, we are going to see how you can get started with your Hello World scenario. So that is the way you learn any language, right? So we'll get started with Hello World. And so instead of going to this particular snippet, let us create a new Python file so that you can see how I'm getting started. So let me name this as a demo.py. And as you know, Locust is the package. So it is not a language, basically. It is a Python package. So whenever you want to interact with Locust, you have to import your Locust package. So whenever you see this snippet, so here the first line, it will start with from Locust. So basically you have to import whatever things you need for your load testing. You have to mention in your first few lines. So from Locust, so I'm going to import say user, and I'm going to use wait time, and I'm going to use task set. So these are some frequently used modules within the Locust package. So we are going to see what each thing means. So first here in my hello world.py, in line number 4, I am creating a class. So if you want to get started with Python, you need to know at least some basics about the Python. See, I am not expert in Python. I don't write very complex code, but I know how to read some of the codes, and then I can write some neat code, I believe. So the thing you need to learn is basically the object-oriented concepts in Python. So if you are good with the object-oriented concepts in Python, then you can go in and out in Locust. So here, your first entry point of your test is creating a class. So here we are creating a class called my test. You can give any name, and you are deriving the parent class. So here user is the parent class because we are importing the module called user, and we are just deriving it from in our derived class. So basically we are reusing the code, and user is nothing but a simple user basically. So it doesn't related with your JMeter threads or user. So basically it is a user, it will do some task to you. Okay. You can create multiple users, which we are going to see. And so each user will do certain things. So you have to tell the user what that user has to do. So to tell that user, we have to create a task. So line number 7, we are mentioning, okay, I need a task for this particular user. So this particular task, it is called a decorator. So this is the Python decorator. So it's like a template. So whenever you use @ symbol, that is the decorator in Python. So here we are defining 3 tasks. One is say hello, and wear mask, and say goodbye. So these are the 3 tasks I have created. And inside the 3 tasks, what I'm going to do is I'm going to print some message. Hello world, goodbye, and some wear mask, stay safe. So those kind of messages I'm printing in each task. So if you want to run this particular hello world.py, there are multiple ways. So commonly used is you can just start issuing the command locust, and you have to mention the file which you are going to run -f, and then we are going to mention the directory and the hello world.py. So if you hit enter, what will happen is it is displaying some error because we have to activate the virtual environment. So let me activate the virtual environment. So env scripts and activate .bat. Now let me clear my screen and let us execute the command locust. So this will start our Flask server internally, and then it will display the web interface at 8089. So this is the default port which will spin up, and then it will, if you click, it will just open the web user interface. So now let us wait for the application to open. I think my browser hanged. Let us give some minute. Let me click again. Okay, yeah, now it's open. So now here it is site cannot be reached. So that is fine. You can just change this 0.0.0 to local host. Hit enter. So now this will open the Locust Web Ui. So this is the Locust home page. And here you have to mention how many users you are going to simulate. So this is like number of users. So here let me simulate 2. And the spawn rate. So how soon you want to spin up this user. So I have 2 users. So I want to spin this 2 users in 2 seconds. And I'm not going to enter any host. So instead, I'm going to click on start swarming. So start swarming means you are going to start the load test. So swarming means attacking. So you are going to attack this particular test. So now you can see the status is running, but here it is not displaying anything. So there is a reason behind that. So let me go to the our Pycharm and see what's going on. So here in the command line prompt, you can see it is printing our print instructions. So basically it is randomly picking up the task and then it is performing the actions and then it is exiting out and then it keeps repeating. So by default, it will keep executing unless you terminate. So if you want to stop your test, by default, you have to stop your test manually by going to the user interface. Otherwise, it will keep on executing like this. So here it will have some wait time. So line number 5, we are telling to wait constant of 1 second. So because we cannot inject the load without any think time or without any timer in JMeter. So that is a bad practice. So we have to give some time so that Locust will breathe and then it will just proceed with the next task. So if you are not giving any constant timer, then it will ram your server and then you will not be able to test it properly. So it is always best practice to give some wait time. And so here you can see it is keep on executing. And if you go to exceptions, you don't see any exceptions, failures, charts. So everything is blank here. So, but this is the very basic test. So we are not doing anything crazy. We are just printing the message. Now what I can do, I can go to Web UI and click on stop. And once you come to the particular terminal, you can see the 2 users have been stopped and 0 is running. And to terminate the Web UI, so right now this particular UI is up and running. But if you want to terminate this instance as well, then you have to come to the terminal and press Ctrl+C. So Ctrl+C means you are terminating the particular execution. Right. So now if you go to the UI and if you refresh, this will go away. So it will just throw you, the site cannot be reached. This is our very first basic test in Locust. So as you see, right, it is very, very simple. So just a few lines of code, you can easily get started with your first test. Wow. So this user, as I said, right, it is just a simple user. So it's like a person user, you can say. So you are telling the computer, okay, spin up 1 user or 2 users and do this task. Okay. But if you want to test the web application or web services or REST services, right? So you have to make use of another module called HTTP user. So this HTTP user, it will take care of your HTTP requests. So by making use of this particular module, you can send and receive the request and response respectively. So here, what I'm going to do is I am going to send 2 requests by invoking the example.com. So first task is launching this particular host example.com, and then second one is we are sending another post request. So this particular line number 8, it is the get method, and line number 13 is the post method. And line number 9 and line number 14 will print out the status of your HTTP method, whether the particular HTTP method is 200 or 404 or 500. So it will just print for our information purpose. So this particular sample Python script, it will leverage two classes. One is the HTTP user and another one is sequential task set. So here I'm leveraging another class called sequential task set. So sequential task set means by the name itself, you can see it will execute sequentially. So if you go to the previous example, this particular script, it will execute randomly. So it might go to say hello, or it might go to say goodbye or wear mask. So randomly it will pick the task and then it will do. But in the actual project, you may need to go in a sequential order, because that is our business flow, right? Whenever you test some transactions, first you launch the website, then you log in into your account, then you do some browsing or searching for a product, then you check out. So this is how the real world scenario is. So if you want to do certain sequential order, then you have to leverage this particular class called sequential task set. So here, as I mentioned, we have two tasks. So this is my two tasks, and this is our sequential task set. And in line number 17, I am making use of HTTP user. So HTTP user is a class where you are leveraging the request and response. So here I am telling Locust, okay, this is my application under test, which is example.com. And these are the tasks you have to carry out. So task is nothing but this my request response. So now let me execute this particular script so that you can understand how it works. So as before, we have to leverage the locust -f, and we are going to use HTTP user and HTTP user underscore demo and hit enter. So again, this will start the interface. Now let me go back to the browser and hit refresh. So here again, it is asking us to enter the number of users, say 1, and again 1, and example.com, and click on start swarming. So now if you see here, so here we are it is displaying the two requests. One is get and another one is post. And here it will display the number of requests it is hitting, and median response time, maximum response time, minimum, and all typical performance statistics, it will get displayed here. So if you go to terminal, again, you can see your execution, because I am telling Locust to print the value, right? So here it will display the value. So everything is working fine, because this particular request, it is working fine. And also we are not seeing any failures here. And if you go to chart tab, here you can see the beautiful charts. So x-axis is the timeline, y-axis is the request per second, the response time, etc. And if you just scroll down, you can see other statistics. And also if you click on failures, you can see any failures and exceptions. And if you want to download your data, you can download your data once the test is done. So this is how you start with your first load test using the HTTP user module. So here we are leveraging this sequential task set as the derived as the base class, and this also again base class. So this particular my sequence test and my request response is the derived class. So everything is class, everything is an object in Python, and again in Locust also it is everything is about object. So if you're good with handling how you can leverage the classes, methods, and object, so if you know those things, you'll be good in Locust.
Awesome. Okay.
Any questions, Ajay, as of now?
Yeah. So again, like I just want to know, when there are multiple tools like like LoadRunner, JMeter, then why one should move to Locust, like to use in their project as an open source performance testing tool?
Yes. So you are telling why Locust?
Right.
Right. Okay. Assume that say you're working on a project which is a Python based project. Assume you are working on a Python based project, and you are surrounded by developers, Python developers, and you want to they're asking you to start with your load testing, performance testing, and they are looking for a tool to fit their their ecosystem, because everything is Python based application. So why if you have Locust, so instead of JMeter, instead of other tool, then Locust will directly fit your needs.
Okay.
Because whenever the developer they are done with their commit, even they can also write the Locust snippet very easily, very quickly. Okay?
Right.
So
right.
that is one aspect. Assume that you don't have a big infrastructure. Okay, I want to test more load, but I don't have that power, the machine power.
Right.
In that case also you can go with Locust.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So again, it depends on the situation you are in, what type of project and what you need. But there are a lot of use cases I have seen. Locust is the very right fit, and you can get started with Locust in pretty much quickly. So within a couple of minutes, you will be up and running.
Yeah, that's what I can see. Yeah, that's great about it. Yeah.
Okay. So now let us go with the next concept, which is much critical to implement, which is data parameterization.
Okay.
For data parameterization, I think you would have come across this term many times across the tool. So parameterization means you are testing your application with multiple sets of data. So instead of testing with only one test of data, what you do is you test your field or you test your business flow with different sets, because that's how real world thing will happen, because every user is unique, every request is unique. So you have to tell, you have to validate your application is fine based on the different sets of data. Suppose the user is giving invalid input, so how the application will behave, whether the application will crash or application will work fine. So data parameterization is very much critical in any tool. So in Locust also you can implement the data parameterization, but the main disadvantage is you have to write the code manually. You have to write, you have to implement what you are going to achieve. It is not like other tools, like you have the interface to parameterize something. So here you have to decide what you are going to parameterize and how you are going to parameterize, because there are a lot of ways, multiple methods you can follow to get started with parameterization. So here, let me open parameterization.py. And here we are going to leverage a simple sample application called http bin.org. So this particular http bin.org has a simple form where you will fill the customer name and address, and you will order some pizza. So once you send the actual or test data, some sample test data, it will give you the valid response, and then you can validate your response after that. So here I am leveraging the sequential task set, and I'm leveraging the HTTP user. So this part is we have seen already. But in line number 2, if you see here, I have importing another module called CSV read. So basically, if you go to this particular Python file, read testdata.py, here I have declared a class called CSV read. So this particular Python file will take care of reading your test data file. So this is my customer data. So in the customer data.csv, I have multiple columns like a name, phone number, email ID with multiple rows of records. And runtime, what it will do is it will read this information. It will pick up some random row, and then it will send this information in our request. So here I am reading this particular file, line number 9, by leveraging this particular class. And after reading the information, I am just sending this particular data in a post request. So line number 23, it will send a post request to /post, and then it will send the data. So this is our data. So this data will be read from your customer data.csv. So basically, I have divided into 3 things. One is your Locust file, which is parameterization.py, and one file which will hold all your test data, and another file to read your test data, and then it will just send this information to the Locust file. So this is how I designed, but this is not the only way you can follow. So just because I'm telling you no need to follow this, there are multiple ways you can implement. You can keep everything in one file, or you can read it inside the Locust file. So it depends on your requirements and the context. But I always prefer to handle things individually so that I can maintain it easily. So this is one of the best way, I would say, to implement the data parameterization. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to execute this particular snippet. Let me clear my screen. And we're going to make use of the same command, locust -f, and we are going to execute the parameterization.py. And now what I'm going to do is we are going to launch our test in a headless mode. So before we have seen the UI, but what if you are going to run this particular file or Locust file in your pipeline? So in your pipeline, there is no UI, right? You should not make use of any user interaction. So in that case, you can leverage the headless mode. So headless mode is not new. It is there already there in other tools as well. So basically, without the user interface, you can start your test. So that is the purpose of headless mode. So here we have to tell Locust, okay, I want to inject the load. Number of users should be 2, and the spawn rate -r is a spawn rate, which is 2 again. And I'm going to run for about 10 seconds. So -t stands for the duration, 10 seconds. And we are going to mention the mode, which is --headless. So this is the flag you will use for the headless mode. And if you hit enter, what will happen is your test will start immediately, and then it will display the statistics every couple of seconds by default. And then once the test is done, it will display the final statistics. So this is how you leverage the headless mode in Locust without launching the Web UI. So this is one of the very powerful feature of Locust. The same test you can do by just deleting this, and then if you hit enter, again it will launch the Web UI. And here, if you go to Web UI, if you hit refresh, again you have to enter the details and start swarming. Again, you can see the statistics here. So these requests for each customer. So this customer, it is coming from my test data file. Okay, so this is the power of Locust. It's very what to say, neat, very neat and intuitive, and it works perfectly. And you can handle all your exceptions. You can handle your think time. You can handle your load, how you want to inject the load. So everything is just the way how you implement, it will work. So basically what you tell, it will do. So no need to wait for the features to be implemented. If you know some feature you want, you can implement it directly in Locust. Okay, now let me stop this and let me terminate this particular screen. Any questions, Ajay, at this point?
No, I'm just enjoying the session at the moment.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay. So I hope data parameterization is, I hope it's clear. If you have any doubts, definitely you can refer this repository. I will publish this in GitHub. You can refer this.
Right.
And the another important concept, people who are coming from LoadRunner and JMeter, definitely they will ask this question. How about correlation? So the correlation, it's one of the very frequently asked topic in any forum. People will say, I'm not getting this particular request, or it is not logging in. I'm not able to log in, or there is no token. So I have seen many questions around this, which is called correlation. So correlation is nothing but you have to handle your session properly. Unless you handle your HTTP session, you'll not be able to do your stuffs. So one of the best example is a login. So if you want to log in into some application, what you have to do is you have to handle that session, because HTTP is the stateless protocol. So stateless means it will just forget who you are. So to remember to tell the browser on the server, okay, this is me. Just remember me till I log off or till I close my browser. So how do you maintain that session using you have to make that HTTP is stateful. So you make your HTTP connection stateful by use of cookies or by implementing some sessions. So there are multiple ways you can implement. So here in Python, there is no concept, there is no official term called correlation. So it's like a process, basically. It's not an official term. But if you take other tools like a LoadRunner, there is an official term called correlation. And if you take JMeter, again, regular expression extractor. So these are some of the terms you frequently hear from the tool, from the community, basically. But here in Python, there is no locust feature for this particular correlation. So if you want to handle that session, locust will not give you any feature built in. So instead, you have to leverage the Python feature. So Python package you have to leverage. So one such package is called regular expression. If you see the line number 2, I am importing the package module regular expression, RE, which stands for regular expression. So by leveraging this particular module, you can read your server response. So why you want to read your server responses? There are multiple ways. There are multiple reasons. One is if you want to validate. So whether you are actually landing the page, or whether the particular text message is displaying it or not. So if when it comes to validation, you have to read your server response. And also if you want to handle your session, you have to read your server response. So it could be in the body, it could be in the header, it could be anywhere. So how do you read the information from the server in Locust is by using the regular expression, and also by leveraging the client, the HTTP client. And here you have to mention a flag called catch_response. So this will help you to catch the response to handle some validation. And you can read your information using this particular syntax, response.text. So here we are storing everything in a response variable and response object, basically. And using this object, you can do your validation. So this particular object, it will hold many information. It will hold your text, it will hold your number of duration, status code. So everything, it will get stored in this particular object. And making use of this object, you can validate, you can read, you can do a lot of stuffs in your Locust file. So whatever I have seen, this is not the feature of Locust. This is a feature of Python. So that you have to draw a line between the features, whether it is a feature from the Locust or is it from the Python. So once you know how to draw this line, then you can hang around in the Locust file pretty easily. Okay. So this particular example, it's kind of a little advanced, because here what I'm going to do is we are launching a page called Pet Store, and we are entering into the store. And what we are going to do is we are going to click on this particular products randomly. Okay, we'll click on dogs, we'll click on cats, we'll click on reptiles. So for each product, so here you can see for each product, we are just launching that particular product page. So I can quickly show you this particular flow to understand better. So first it will launch this particular URL, petstore.octoperf.com. And then it will go into the store, entering the store, and then it will click on fish. And then it will sign in. Okay, so there's a sign in action. So we are going to sign in. Say I'm going to enter into the store, and then it will log in. And then here it will random clicks. So here you can see random product page, and then it will sign off. So everything is kind of random here. Random product, you can see random product. So it will just go to this particular page. It will go to reptiles. It will go to birds and so on. And then at last, it will just sign out. So this is the flow I have designed. So it's kind of a little complex, but if you go through the code, you can understand easily. So this is what we are going to execute and see how it is looking in our Locust Web UI. So let me clear my screen. And it's not clearing actually. That's fine. Let us send this particular command locust -f 30 and pet store and hit enter. Now let me go back to locust web UI and hit refresh. And let us execute with 2 users and 2 spawn rate and start swarming. So here you can see it is going to the home page, enter the store, sign in, and the dogs. So it is randomly clicking on that page. So dogs page has loaded, cats page has loaded, and sign off. Again, it is repeating the test. Again, birds page this time, and then signing off. Again, it will load. So it keeps on repeating until we terminate this particular execution. So if something is wrong, it will immediately display this particular message. So if you see the line number 20, so here I have added one failure. So here I'm checking home page should load within 2 seconds. So here you can see the checkpoint I have added. So if it is taking more than 2 seconds, what will happen is this particular action will fail. So like this, I have created a lot of failures here, checkpoints. So if something is failing, then immediately it will just throw the error. Okay, so if you go to exceptions, again, I am seeing one exception here, unable to configure some logger, and failures, there is no failure. And you can see the beautiful charts, and you can see the statistics here. So it keeps on executing, and then you can just monitor till you're done with your testing, and then you can stop your test once the test is done. So this particular signing in, it's very critical. So because sign in, basically you are handling your session. So it's a J session ID it will generate in the backend. So we are handling that session. Otherwise, you cannot even log in your into the application. So here, if you see line number 41, so here we are handling the session ID by extracting the session ID from the server response. So this is where I'm making use of the regular expression. So here I can see the comment extracting the session ID. So unless we handle this session ID, you cannot even log in. Okay, so that is the purpose of this particular feature. So by leveraging the RD, you can do your correlation without any issues.
Okay.
So correlation is kind of overwhelming for the people who are getting started, but it's one of the must feature you should know. Unless you learn correlate, how you can do correlation, then you cannot do scripting in any tool, not just Locust, even JMeter or some other tool also. It will be very tough to proceed with your testing.
Okay.
Okay, so now let me terminate. So once you terminate here also, you can see your beautiful table view. So it's displaying everything properly.
Great. Yeah.
Okay, so now we are coming to the last feature, distributed load testing. So that is one of the must feature nowadays, because nowadays people are running in cloud, right? Docker, Kubernetes. So that is where people will execute their load test. They don't execute locally.
Right.
So Locust is like a cakewalk when it comes to distributed load testing. It's very, very easy. No need to spend a lot of time in implementing the distributed load testing. It's very quickly you can implement, and no knowledge about how it works. Basically, you can just follow certain commands, and you are good with your distributed load testing concept. So now I'm going to show you how you can leverage the distributed load testing by going into the help manual. So if you go to Locust help manual and configuration, so here it will display the master options. So basically it follows the master and worker concept. So this is the concept you will see across all the tools, JMeter or any other tool. If you take, this is the architecture behind it. The implementation might vary, but the high level concept is still the same. So you will have one master machine, and you will have multiple worker machine, and you tell all the workers to inject the load based on your design. And whatever master instructs, the worker will repeat the test, and then it will send the statistics to the master machine. So this is how it works, very high level. And master machine, again, it comes with its own command, hyphen master here. And also, if you want to make a machine worker, you have to make use of hyphen worker. So this is the only two command you can use to get started with your distributed load testing. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make use of the same pet store as an example, and we are going to implement in a master and worker architecture. So to get started, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the master command. So locust -f, again, I'm going to make use of this correlation pet store. And I'm going to add a command called -master. And I'm going to hit enter. So now what will happen is it will start the web interface at the same port number. Now let me go to the web interface and hit refresh. So now I'm going to say 2 number of users and the spawn rate is 2, and I'm going to click on start swarming. And here, if you can see, there is a new tab added called workers. So this was not built. This is a new tab. And if you click on this worker, you can see there is no worker because we have started only as a master. So we have not told Locust, okay, you have to start the worker, right? We are yet to tell. So to tell Locust again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start another session, okay, another terminal session. And here I'm going to repeat the same command, locust -f, and the same script with the tag --worker. I'm going to hit enter.
Okay.
So now what will happen, it will start the locust in a worker mode. So here, let me close this 2 sessions. So in the first terminal session, I have started the master.
Right.
And second terminal, I have started the worker. Now, if you go to your Locust Web UI, you can see the new worker has been added.
Right, I can see that.
And I can see ready status. So similarly, you can repeat multiple times. Here again, I'm going to copy the same command in a new terminal. I'm going to paste it here. I'm going to hit enter. So now this will start another worker. And if you come here, you can see 2 workers. Now I have 1 master and 2 workers.
Right.
So this worker, you can run it in any system, not just my system. If it is the same network, definitely you can spin up your worker, and then you can see your worker details. So now if you go to statistics, we have seen blank because we have not started our execution. So what we have done is we have just configured the master, worker 1 and worker 2. To start our test again, we can, where is it? We can click on stop again here and click on new test and click on start swarming. Now our test has been started. And if you see the worker, you can see the distribution. So here we have mentioned 2 number of users. So each worker took 1 user. Basically, the load has been distributed. So each worker took 1 thread, 1 user basically, and then it started executing the test. Okay. So now I can stop the test, and then I can say a number of users, say 4. So now if I start the test, it will distribute the load accordingly. So now each has 2 users. So like this, you can easily start with your master and worker architecture within a few command line.
Wow.
So nothing to do with your system or network, nothing actually. But in terms of JMeter, right, you have to do a lot of stuff before you start.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So
This is very simple in Locust, I can see.
It's very cakewalk, basically.
Great.
Okay, and another feature, there is a new feature. I mean, not new. Actually, it's very frequently used feature in the master itself. So let me stop everything. So let me close this, and here we can tell there is a flag called expect workers. Expect. I guess. Let me search for the exact command. Expect. Expect -workers. So this will this tag. So whenever you enter this expect worker, your test will not start unless you meet this particular specification. So right now I am mentioning in Locust, okay, expect worker 2. So this will not start your test. Okay, let me refresh the screen. Okay, so now if I enter 2 and start, okay, this will not start the test because it is expecting 2 workers. So right now there is no worker. So we have to create a worker. So here what I can do, I can just start the worker. So again, if you go to the master, you can see only 1 is there. Currently 1 is there, but it needs 2. So again, we have to start another session. So right now there is a 2 workers. Now if you go here, so right now 2 is there. So now if you go back to in your UI and if you start again, now it will start the test. Okay. Otherwise, if any one worker is not there, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to terminate one session, one worker. So I'm going to close this. Now see only one worker is there. So now it will not execute basically. So it will just stop using that particular worker. It is dropping to 0. I guess it eventually will go to 0. I guess so. So basically, expect worker flag. It will start only the expected workers as met. Otherwise, it will not start the test. So that is the main feature of this master worker architecture.
Wow. Very.
Right now,
go ahead, please.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Now it's only one worker is there. Right? Here you can see.
Yeah.
Only one is running. So basically, it removes that particular load. So like this, you can on the fly you can add and then you can remove.
Okay. So just I get a question here. Like, is there any limit of adding workers?
I guess there is a limit. Exact limit is I think 90. I'm not sure the number, but there is a limit actually.
Okay.
I can confirm. I think 90. Okay, that is in Kubernetes, but yeah, there is a limit actually. Anyway, you will run out of your memory if you keep on adding. That is also there, but yeah, based on your number of CPU cores and the number of load, based on that, you can adjust the workers.
Great. Yeah. Understood.
So now let me stop this and yeah, now the last worker quit and stopping the test. So once everything is, there's a 0 worker, it will automatically stop the test. Okay.
Great. Very sensible, I would say.
Yes. Yeah, this feature is out of the box. I mean, nothing to do with your coding. But yeah, whatever I have mentioned here, just a tip, just a 0.1% of Locust, I would say. Yeah, a lot of things are there because there are a lot of classes, methods are available, and you can integrate with Grafana, you can integrate with Prometheus, whatever the tool you want to integrate, you can integrate. You can run in Docker, you can run in Kubernetes. So a lot of it's like we can keep go on for 1 week. Talk about Locust, yeah.
Yeah, I know. Like a tool like this cannot be covered in single session. So of course, that's great. Like even we can start. This is for using Locust from here, I believe, and I would say yeah. So it opened my eyes with like why I should use Locust.
Thank you.
So coming to questions, Naveen. So just want to know, do we need to learn any other language except Python to get started with Locust?
Only Python. But if you want to deep dive into the micro threads, or if you want to deep dive into asynchronous nature, right? Then you can learn the Python packages. There is a G event, async. So there are a lot of Python packages are available. You can learn how it works basically. Then you can easily implement your requirements.
Great.
But Python is the starting point. Without Python, don't start Locust. You will give up easily.
Absolutely.
So just to go through the basics, Python and Python object-oriented concepts, then come to Locust, then you will feel comfortable.
Okay.
You don't know anything about Python and directly starting with the Locust means then after 1 hour you will give up.
Okay, got it. Yeah, that's really required. Okay, coming to next question, Naveen. What is the best way to start learning this tool and where we can start practicing?
Practicing, again, everything is free. The Pycharm IDE is free, Locust is free, Python is free. So just to install the relevant packages and the software, you can get started. I have created a complete playlist is available in my channel. You can check it out to take the baby steps.
Great, great. Okay. Coming to next question. So can you just show us the results reports from Locust tool? Like how does it represent like for the test case? Yeah, please go ahead.
So here, so this is our last test we executed. And if you go to charts, so here you can see your the default charts. Okay, these are the defaultly it will get generated, and every couple of seconds it will just update your statistics. And once the test is done, you need to download your raw data using the download data tab. It is from the Web UI. But if you want to write it to some file or if you want to download something from the command line, that is also is possible. But yeah, people prefer in the command line. But if you are good with your Web UI, you need the UI, then you can download your failures, statistics, and exceptions from the download data tab. Okay, so this will give you the raw data, and you can just make use of Grafana or Prometheus to visualize your data.
Okay, that's great. So we can get reports from download data. You mean to say? Okay, fine.
Correct, yes.
Fine. So talking about the components of Locust, how many components does Locust have? Like
okay, Locust components. So basically, in this demo, we have discussed about HTTP user, and we have discussed about sequential task set and task. So these are some essential components of Locust. So without this, you cannot start a test actually. Apart from this, there are other couple more classes are available. Like I can show you in the help documentation. So here, if you go to docs.locust.io, and if you go to the API page, so these are the components of Locust. So whatever we had discussed, only a subset of this. But if you want to deep dive, so you have to learn these components. So how these classes works, and what are the methods is there inside this class, and how you can make use of this. So if you go through this, you will be able to learn more about the Locust components.
okay, understood, understood. So coming to next question, Naveen, like so as you have mentioned one of the like pros and cons while showing us the session. So just want to know if you can let us know the in brief, what are the pros and cons other than that is there in Locust?
Okay, pro is it is a command line, basically command line tool, and everything is coding. Okay, there is no UI, so that is the advantage. And you need a very low footprint, basically. So you can even start with your simple small machine. And if you want to inject more load, you can do that when comparatively to other tools. So that is another advantage. And it is distribution load testing. It's very simple and very easy. And you can run in Docker, Kubernetes, pipeline. So it's DevOps friendly. So these are the pros of Locust. So whatever the advantage of Python, so you are deriving all the advantages of Python whenever you use Locust. So very simple. But when it comes to cons, people who are coming from the JMeter or LoadRunner background, they will miss the user interface. Okay, that is one con. And there is no recording. So whenever you start with your load testing, people will start with recording.
Right.
So by default, you cannot record. There is no recording feature available. But by making use of third-party community-driven packages, what you can do is you can record your activity in your browser, and you can export that into HAR file, HTTP archive file. And from the archive file, you can generate some code. So I have seen some packages up there, but I have never used. But I'm not comfortable in using the record and playback. So what I comfortable is manually crafting the request. That's what I'm comfortable. So what I do, I just manually send the request and capture it in a browser. Then I design the request in Python by handwritten.
Okay.
So in that way, I will get more information. Okay, how that particular request works. So if you record and replay, what will happen? You may not understand what's going on, and you have to laser focus on each request. And if you miss the focus, then it will not work. And sometimes recording will not capture everything. So proxy settings. So a lot of things are there when it comes to recording. So that is missing in Python.
Right. Okay.
That could be advantage or disadvantage. Again, it is the eyes who is seeing that particular feature.
Right. Got it. Okay. So Naveen, so you told us like if you want to learn it, you have some set of basics of Locust on your like channel or whatever it is. Can you just show us like where it is?
Yes, sure. So if you go to youtube.com/QA Insights, my channel name, and you go to let me visit my channel first. Okay, this is my channel. So here under the playlist, so if you click on playlists, there are multiple playlists available, and here you can see Learn a Locust series. So if you just click on view full playlist, you can see around 20 bytes are there, 20 tutorials. If you go through this video in a sequential order, you'll be ready to start with performance testing in Locust.
Awesome. That's great, and would be very helpful for everyone.
Yes. So please check it out and subscribe.
Definitely. So how we can reach to you, Naveen, like if we have some doubts in Locust or any other performance tool which like if you want to reach out to you?
Yes.
Then
so I am pretty much active in LinkedIn. So you can ping me in LinkedIn or you can join my community. So community.qainsights.com. So this is my community. So here you can post your question. Check this community daily, and then I respond. Or you can ping me in LinkedIn chat, or you can check my blog. So there are a lot of ways you can reach me. So I'm open to answer your question anytime.
Awesome, Naveen. So Naveen, actually we came to closure of this session, this wonderful session from you, and so just want to know anything else you want to say before we wrap up this wonderful session presented by you in Locust.
Sure. So this particular information I usually give to my students who are joining my class. So one thing is I already mentioned, learn the concept, not the tool. That is one thing.
Right.
And keep learning. There are a lot of things, new stuffs are coming up daily. So you have to top of that. Otherwise, you will just miss the boat.
Right.
For example, Docker or Kubernetes or Helm. So whatever the new cloud technologies. So learn those technologies, at least the basics. No need to be expert in everything, because you cannot learn everything.
Absolutely.
We are not genius, right? So we can just focus only one couple of things, not everything.
Right.
So for performance testing perspective, what I will say is learn the engineering aspects, not just testing the application.
Right.
Go beyond that. So I have seen people who are getting started or who are experienced as well. I'll get questions, people who are 8 years experience also. So they will ask some very basic questions. So what they do is they just furnish the statistics. So what they do, they just capture this information, statistics, right? They just copy this. They will send it in an email to the development team. people don't want that. People, they don't want our numbers. So this number should tell a story. So what's going on in our application? So what I have done, and what's going on, and what could went wrong, or what could be done better. So that is where your engineering skills comes into picture. So it is a blend of art and science. So if you focus on only art, you will miss science. If you focus only on science, you will miss the art. So you have to balance both the aspects and deep dive into the back end of your application, how it works, what is the architecture, why this component, why not that parameter, why not that configuration. So ask so many questions. So there is no such thing as a stupid question. Only the answers will be stupid.
Okay.
All the questions are valid questions.
Wow.
So even people think bad, okay, this guy don't know anything, that is fine. Don't care. You can ask many questions as possible. But before asking, just make sure you are doing your homework.
Yeah, that's really needed. That's really needed.
You cannot go to the developer, okay, what is a get method or what is post method, right? Yeah. So you have to do your homework. Okay, this is my API I'm going to test, and these are the stuffs I have tried. So this is what it's doing. So you can ask everything from the architecture perspective and the configuration perspective. So what could we can do better? So try to automate everything, deep dive, and keep learning. So that is what it's required nowadays. Otherwise, we will be outdated. So if I stick only with a couple of tools, I will be outdated.
Right? Absolutely.
Everyone is like that. So you have to keep reading and try to share it with the community whenever you get time.
Absolutely. Okay, Naveen, thanks for your words of wisdom. Actually, I believe many people will learn a lot of things from your experience and from your words as well. It was quite inspiring for us. Thanks, Naveen, for your time and giving such a great session on Locust, an open source performance testing tool available in the market. Hope our audience has learned a lot of things regarding performance testing from your session. We wish you all the best for upcoming projects on which you are working on. And we are expecting more such sessions from you in the upcoming days. Thanks a lot, Naveen, for your time and being part of our STET journey.
Yeah, thanks, Ajay, for having me and for the opportunity. And at least it will, if it reaches even one person, I'll be very happy. So I hope it will reach the masses. But even if it is a small number, also I'll be very happy.
Thank you, Naveen. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's it.